All right, y'all, let's take a look at this third one and see how we want to go about solving that. All right, so it's a series circuit, but as you can see, we don't have all the information for some of these. In particular, we don't know anything about number 1, but we do know a good deal of information about number 3. So, hey, when you don't know what to do, start with what you know the most about, always. So I'm going to start with number 3, even though it's not really traditional, right? So I'm going to use V equals IR. Let's think about what I know. I know that 3 volts is what I have. I don't know the current, but I do know the resistance of 20 ohms, right? So what I'm going to do is take that 3 and I'm going to divide it by 20, and I'm going to figure out that the current for number 3 is 0.15 amps. Now, why is that important? Because it's a series circuit, right? I know that in a series circuit, the current stays the same. This tells me that all of these have 0.15 amps. Even this one I don't know anything about. So now if you look at number 2 and number 4, I know 2 of the 3 pieces of information. So I can use V equals IR and figure out the voltage on number 2. Right, so I'm going to go 10 ohms times 10 ohms times 0.15 amps. I wrote those in reverse, but that's okay, right? So V2 is going to be 1.5 volts. And then let's do the same thing for number 4. Always start with what you know the most about. So I'm going to say, all right, V4 is going to be equal to 0.15 amps times 25 ohms. All right, 25 times 0.15 equals 3.75 volts. Hang on just a minute. The doorbell rang, so I will be back. Okay, sorry about that. Like I said, my doorbell rang and I wasn't expecting it, so I had to go check what was going on. All right, so what we've done here is we've done 3, 2, and 4. So now let's go back and see what else we know. Okay, so we got to go back to number 1. If you think about it, let's look at our voltages. We know the voltage on 2 and 3 and 4, and we know that if I add all of them together, that should be the total, because in a series circuit, the voltage splits. So if I know my total voltage is 12, and I know all the other 3, so let's add those together, right? So we've got 1.5 for number 2. We've got 3 for number 3. And we've got 3.75. I didn't write it down. 3.75 for number 4. Okay, that adds up to 8.25 volts. So what I can do is simply subtract it away, and that will give me the voltage for number 1. Look at that. Look at all that logic. All right, so V1 is going to be 3.75 volts. Whoops, let's see if I can write it correctly. 3.75 volts. 3.75 volts and 0.15 amps. Let's figure out the resistance for number 1. All right, so what we're going to do is look only at this one. We're going to take our voltage divided by our current. That will give us our resistance. So 3.75 volts divided by 0.15 amps is 25. So our number of ohms, our resistance on that first one is 25. There we go. There's number 3 figured out.